I do not own the rights to this music, but while we at it, let's consecrate this atmosphere. Peace and power to you all, family, as we always do. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to drop it right down in the comments below. But let's consecrate this atmosphere before we get the ball rolling. Today we're going to dive deep as we talk about the power of the onion. The life of an onion. What's so important about the onion? Peace and power to you all, family. Again, thank you for tuning in. I don't own the rights to this music, but while you at it, let's consecrate this atmosphere. Today we're talking about the life of an onion. Why the onion? Why is this so important? And how it relates to you. If you're a first-time joiner, like the page, like the video, comment, share, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. And I hope to see you time and time again so you can get fed as we break bread each and every time. About to get down onto it right now. All right. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Nicholas Mason, coming to you with the evening legislation solely for your mental edification. Let's drop this dime. Let me line it up one time for the one time. So again, welcome back, family. Thank you again for tuning in as always, as we drop the word on What a Word Wednesday. Today's word was onion and the importance of the onion. We know that onions come in many different layers. They come in several different species, and they come in different flavor notes. Now, the way you utilize it, the way you cut it, whether you roast it, steam it, fry it, poach it, blanch it, or eat it raw, it has nutritional benefits, has medicinal benefits, and it also has benefits to help your palate. But today, I'm going to dive just a little bit and push the envelope just a little bit further beyond the normality of what we know an onion can offer. And I want to touch on how the life of an onion actually relates to you. See, when we think of the onion, when I think of the onion, as a chef, I work with several different types of species of onions. Shallots, these are the small, sweet onions that are used in beurre blancs. They're used in sauces as just a finishing note. You can lightly cook them, lightly saute them, but you don't have to cook them too long because once you just sweat them on their low, medium heat, they take on a very sweet, aromatic flavor. They're good for profile adding, and they give a nice pungency to a dish as well. When we talk about the white onion that you typically have that has that yellow outer ring on it, these type of onions are typically used in your soups, your stocks, your sauces, your roasting. These take on a lot of good carryover cooking where they are not deteriorated. You can use them to caramelize onions. The red onion is used more along the lines for fresher products, just for its vibrancy, its color, and its boldness. The scallion, it looks like a long grass leaf, also used as a garnishing, finishing tool, or even can be roasted to take that flavor profile of a subtle flavor of onion to another level, another dimension of what we would get as a caramelized onion. But moving forward, today what I want to talk about is the power of the onion. As I gave you those species and different types of onions that are offered out here in the market today, I want to tell you that in life, you have different people in your life who come with different layers to them, who come with different expectations and different dimensions of understanding. When we talk about society and how it's set up in a whole, it comes in many different dimensions. It comes in many different layers, whether it be on a municipal to a state to a federal or even on an international level. It's levels and it's layers to this thing we call life. Now, when we talk about the levels and how the onions layers are being peeled back today, I believe wholeheartedly that we got to stay true to our foundations and our fundamentals. And I always tell you guys, and I encourage you, if you're a first-time viewer, I'm going to encourage you to keep your fundamentals and your rock real close. See, David didn't have no gun. David didn't have no sword, but David had a slingshot and a rock in his hand. And with that slingshot and his rock in his hand, he slayed the giant called Goliath. See, you may not have silver and gold, you may not have, but such as you do have is in this rock right here. So when adversity comes and when questions arise, you know to turn to this rock. And with this rock, you find firm foundation, confirmation, and affirmation to the legislation of this life we call Nicholas Mason. Moving forward. Now, when we think about the onion and how the onion works, the onion itself and how the layers work, the further outside away you are from the core, the further you're away from the core, the less potency in the flavor of the onion you will carry. But the closer you get to the core, the more refined of the palate you will taste for the onion. And this goes for any type of onion, whether it be the scallion, the shallot, the red, the Vidalia, the white onion, the Spanish onion. There's several different types of species. The further outside of it, the less potency of the onion flavor. But the closer you get to the core, this is where you'll find that deep flavor of onion. You ever notice how today in society, how everybody is all PC, where you can't be how you were 10, 15 years ago. You can't say things that you used to say 10, 15 years ago because the norm has changed. See, people have decided to put on this layer of what we call political correctness or political politeness, to be coy at all times, to not intentionally oppose or impose your ideals or opinions onto anybody else's lifestyle. Well, if that's the case that we're living in a PC world, that made me think that it's like an onion. See, the onion is not as potent unless you get to the core. You know what I'm saying? The earth looks subtle on the surface, but once you peel back the crust, there's magma, there's lava, there's the mantle, there's the outer core, there's the inner core. And it's different layers to this thing we call life. When you show somebody your perception of how you are to carry yourself at work, this is one dimension of who you are. But when you go home to that loved one, or when you're at home by yourself, or when you're interacting with family, it might be a different you, because the levels of expectation and the levels of potency in which you're supposed to bring determines whether you excel or you fall, or they determine just how you are to carry yourself on a day-to-day basis. And all in all, I want to take you to the rock. And I want to before I take you to the rock, I want to give you a nice prayer. I want to give you a nice blessing, because there's too much darkness in this world. So why not share some light? The Bible says, let your light shine so bright that man will see your good work and glorify the Father which is in heaven. See, I want to share some light with you. So if you pray, you bow your head, close your eyes, hold your fingers together if you want to, you know what I mean? Whatever. Let's take it to the throne. Spirit of the living God, fall fresh in this place. I want to thank you for another life, another opportunity, another day that we may come together to receive your prosperity. I pray that you continuously keep us humble as you elevate us to new heights and to new altitudes. Keep us grounded in your faith to have strong affirmation that you are always in control. Give us the tenacity to fight back and to stand firm on what you have given us in our hands, but ultimately to be able to bow at the grace and glory, to know that anything that you place in our path is sufficient because you have made it happen. I ask that you let these words that are being professed today not be of Nicholas Mason, but it be of the divine that flows through me. These things I ask in Jesus' name I pray. And it is so. Let's go. Man, so we was talking about the onion and the layers and how things are going. When we look at politics today, when we look at food today, when we look at medicine today, when we look at work today, when we look at how the school systems are going today, it's many different dimensions, or just on a day-to-day basis, it's many different dimensions of how things work out. As many different layers. When you go into a job setting, you have the front staff, the immediate employees, then you have the next intermediate employees, then you have your first level managers, then you have your upper management, you have HR, you have the vice president, the president, and you have the CEO. These are different dimensions of how certain businesses work. It's kind of like the pyramid. The onion, when I think of the onion, it has many different dimensions, and the human body has many different dimensions. Just the layer of your skin. Your skin has about 6 different layers before it actually penetrates to the inner parts of your body. When we talk about getting past the skin layer, you get into your nervous system, and then you get into the muscular, you get into the fat layer. After you get into the muscle and the fat layer and you pass the nerves, that's when you get to the bone. When we look in society today, there's many layers to how we ought to carry ourselves. And I talked about how people are being PC and being uptight and being conceited, or they're not speaking the full truth. Where it's more popular today for you to tell a lie or for you to put on a front than to actually be the one who can make a front happen. See, when I think about it, it made me think about the Bible and the layers of how the Bible breaks down the dimensions of how life came to be. If you would, you got your word. If you don't got to have a Bible, but I want you to tune into this really quickly. It talks about in Genesis 1:1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved over the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. And the light appeared. And it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness and called the light day, and the darkness was called night. And in the evening and in the morning were the first day. Now, just to give you that first breakdown, the layers of how night and day had come to form. That was darkness over the land. Darkness, when we think about how we were taught about Genesis and how we were taught about the Bible and we were taught about the Big Bang Theory, I want to push your thinking to peel back that layer of that onion of your subconscious to see if I can penetrate your innermost subconscious to bring revelation to you today. See, darkness isn't just the absence of light, but darkness is the absence of truth. Darkness is the absence of valor. Darkness is the absence of integrity. Darkness is the absence of character. And with that, you miss the innermost core of what it is to bring prosperity to you. At this point in time in Genesis, we learn it was darkness that covered the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters and said, let that be light. So we know that darkness is what we're living in now. And we look at outside today how 2020 has birthed out the COVID-19 pandemic that will shift the way we look at the world as we know it forevermore. When we look at the presidential election for the United States of America for 2020 and the accusations of fraudulent voter fraud, and then the denial of mishandling products, or we look at how people are fighting and acting in a frenzy to get food and resources when ultimately it should be enough to go around. The poor are getting poorer and the rich are staying rich. There's levels to this issue, and there's levels to this thing of how we find it. But when we look at Genesis 1:1 and how it talks about how God hovered over the face of the deep and he said, let there be light, and he separated the day from the night. When we look at the way the world is today and darkness is covering the face of the deep, how we look at when we see murder on television every day, how we're proud to talk about, abortion clinics, and that is your choice what you do with your life. How we're proud to talk about causing wars and famine in this place, and lead water in this place, and chemicals in the air in this place, and death in this place, and degradation here. So much darkness in the world, but we're looking for a light. We're looking for the core. We're looking for the truth. But people in the time that we are in today, in the time we live in, people are like the outermost courts of the onion. They don't want the potency of the truth, because with the potency of the truth comes responsibility to feed somebody else. See, when I talked about Peter and John after the Pentecost, they were in the city of Beautiful, and they seen this lame man sitting in front of the temple who was a beggar. And here's the layers of this onion right here. See, they seen where the man was at, but because they already had faith in what Christ had did for them in their lives, and what positive energy had did for them in their lives, and the positive energy that they carry, they therefore spoke positivity into someone else. And that hit the potency in the core of this lame man, and he got up and walked. I believe today in America, we've missed the potency and we missed the core of what can happen. See, with the onion, a lot of times you might cut an onion and you start to cry. Your eyes may start to burn and water, and you can't figure out why. Well, I'll tell you why. The onion's core itself is comprised and jam-packed with sulfur. Sulfur gives off a vapor that is very potent and very irritable to the eyes. This will cause your eyes to water up. It causes your eyes to burn. When we get to the core of how corrupt, and we get to the core of how dismantled, we get to the core of how dysfunctional things have been for 2020, and we figure out where do we go from now, I think this is where we'll be able to mobilize for better. When we talk about the layers and we talk about the dimensions of who we are as individuals, people are fighting over who should be the president of the United States. Have you looked outside your door? Have you looked out in your neighborhood to see what's going on? People are fighting over who should wear a mask and who shouldn't. Who should get a vaccination first and who shouldn't get a vaccination. Is the vaccination necessary? Is it unnecessary? And here we are standing on the precipice of something that is pulling back the layers of what we thought was the American dream. We thought that we had a fair, equal system when it came to voting. We thought it was equality when it came to the medical and health system, when it came to getting fair health care. We thought it was a fair system when it came to having redlining districts being cut out. So when I say redlining, which means that back in the day, if you don't know about real estate in its history, real estate agents would specifically have places where they would put people of minority to go live, and then they would have places where what we consider the upper class of working men and women, predominantly Caucasian,